appreciate your presence. A couple of things. First, before I get to answering questions or boring you with a long story. WilliamShatner.com, there's a table out there. And one of the things they have on the table, some years ago, Australia, some people in Australia said, would I come there and do a one-man show? I thought, one-man show? That's tough. I mean, you know, you sit here in front of an audience and you're supposed to ad-lib, or I guess you got prepared material, for a couple of hours, and they pay big money and they expect to be entertained. One-man show. And yet, it's in Australia. Who cares? So they asked me to do some stuff from a book I wrote. I went down there. I think it was in Perth, which is on the other side of the west side of Australia. And I did a thing, and it was said they asked me to do some more cities in Australia. And I kind of toured half a dozen. I toured all the cities in Australia, all three of them. And it was fine. And then Canada said, would I tour Canada, all the major cities in Canada? So I toured all three of those. There's Vancouver and Calgary, and then we worked our way east and finally ended up in Toronto. And I'm doing Toronto at a one-man show with a guy beside me answering questions. And somebody gets a hold of me backstage and says, I'm a producer from New York, and I'd like you to go to do it on Broadway. Broadway. Open on Broadway in a one-man show. So I rewrote the show, and I restaged it without somebody else, and I used a chair, a mobile chair, and it became a motorcycle, and it became a horse, and it became a car, and it was wild, and it was very successful, and it got great reviews, and I ran the length of time I'm supposed to run, and then I toured the States, and many cities in the States. But the opening on Broadway was one of the moments. People say, you know, what do you like best? It's a long career, and I think they don't know that one-man show encompassed everything that actors face in a lifetime of entertainment. So from Toronto, I rewrote the show, and now I'm going to open on Broadway. I think my syntax was wrong. I'm going to open on Broadway then. Now, so your applause is like history. So I'm going to open on Broadway, and no time for anything but one performance in the theater that I was in to kind of adjust this new show. And then tomorrow I'm opening on Broadway in front of 1,500 with all the critics and all the approbation or not of the New York audience, toughest audience in the world. Tomorrow, I'm going to go tomorrow to open a one-man show. I better eat very carefully. Eat very carefully tonight. I want to be at my best tomorrow. I want to be filled with energy. I want to sleep well. I want to arise tomorrow late because it's in the evening. I want to be at my powerful best on Broadway. So that night, my wife and a friend of mine, we go out and eat. They have, I don't remember what they had, but I ate very carefully. I think it was fish, vegetables, very carefully. Went to sleep. The next morning, I am so sick. I have food poisoning beyond belief. I am emitting things from inside my body, out of my mouth, out of my nose, out of my ears. and every other orifice that needs. They get Dr. Oz, whom I had known briefly and been on the show a few times, and we hit it off. Dr. Oz and another guy from CBS, a well-known doctor, comes to take care of. Oh, you better go to the hospital. You need fluids. You got well, doctor, I open on Broadway tonight, and I can't stand up. He says, well, get the fluids. I get the thing. And finally, I get to the theater that night. I'm able to walk. I'm able to talk. And I come on stage, and I get applause, and I start my show, and I'm doing the show, and I suddenly feel the urge, which during the day I go to the toilet. I just hug the porcelain throne, whatever it's called. I feel the urge. I have to go. So, excuse me, folks, there's been a technical problem, and we'll be right back. And I run up to the dressing room, and I go in, and I take a shower, and I cry, and I got, oh my Lord, I got it in my pants. No, it was horrible. I need not describe to you how horrible it was. You can only imagine, and it doesn't even half how horrible it was, because I'm on a Broadway opening. It isn't just, oh, excuse me, dear, I gotta go. I got a technical thing. I come back on stage and I finish the show. And nowadays on New York, when you open on Broadway, it used to be that there were 7 newspapers some years ago. There'd be 7 opinions about whether the show was any good. And if they had bad notices, you close that night. You open, you spend a month getting the show ready. The writers spend several years writing the play. The director planned it for a year. The enormous amount of money and time a show opens, terrible show, closed. The World of Susie Wong was my first Broadway show. No, you didn't see it. Not only did you not see it, you weren't born, okay? 7 terrible notices. Should have closed that night. 7. The worst show I've ever seen, World of Susie Wong, and I'm the lead on a Broadway play. The worst play that's ever been on Broadway. But the producers had 6 months or 4 months of advance. It was the anticipation was so large that they had this huge amount of money to run. So they had to run the show. For 3 months, we ran that show and used up the advance. But while it was happening, and people were like walking out, one day I said, sit down, Susie Wong, sit down. And the person over there thought I was talking to them, so they sat back down. Oh, well, that worked. So as that went along, I said, sit down, Susie. And then I began to talk more animation and faster. And finally, it took 15 minutes out of the running time of Susie Wong, turned what was a turgid tragedy into a comedy, and it ran for 2 years. So it can be done. So here I am with a one-man show. Excuse me, folks, I gotta leave. I come back and I finish the show. And it got great notices. It ran, and I toured with it. And I filmed it. I filmed it, a matinee and evening performance. So I've kept that film until now. Go to the table, WilliamShatner.com. It's electronically available. You'll have a great time. In addition to what's at the table is a novel that I'm going to participate in, write in, about you and me, about the experiences of you with Star Trek and me and Star Trek, and it'll be about the love affair that I've had with the Star Trek audience and the love affair that the Star Trek audience has had with me. So that's available. That's going to happen. You'll get the particulars at the table, and that's all I wanted to sell you. Now, coming here. So this town is the font of technical advance in America. This is like the place people go to find what science is doing. The advances in science from this city is, as you all know, is incredible. This is the magic place where the future of AI and medicine and philosophy, this is the place. And I say that because a couple of months ago, I was invited to go to the South Pole on a small luxury liner, and they hired me to talk like we're talking today about stuff I don't know about. Because when I went to write, they asked me to write a novel all these years ago about Star Trek. I don't remember anything about Star Trek. So I interviewed all the cast. What do you remember? You know, George, what do you, what do you remember? What? And they would tell me stories. They would go, oh yeah, I remember that. And I began to write down what they reminded me of. So I'm going to the South Pole, and I know that Neil deGrasse Tyson is going to be on the same ship, doing the same thing, talking to people. Yeah. Let's applaud Neil deGrasse Tyson. He's not here. That's enough. Okay. So, I mean, he's not here. We were here. We'd have prolonged applause, but he's not here. He's a ghost. He doesn't exist. He's a projection. So I get on stage with Neil deGrasse Tyson, and we're talking like I'm talking to you, except he knows everything, and I know nothing. So I'm like the barbarian at the gate, and we get into arguments because science is so changeable. I mean, we're finding out things today, yesterday, tomorrow, that we always took for granted. Like the Big Bang Theory. Oh yeah, it may not have happened. New discoveries. Tectonic plates 100 years ago. Guys said, tectonic. You would have thought of course the mountains are rising. The ball of iron, the magnetic north is moving someplace. I think the magnetic north is going south. It's changing. The tilt of the planet is changing. Everything is in flux. The rule of the universe is everything changes. So I got into an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know. I'm just saying, Neil, everything changes. The speed of light, like it's 179,000 miles per second. Does anybody know the exact
12
speed?
million miles a minute.
Out loud.
12 million miles a minute.
12 million miles a minute.
Yep.
What is it a second? 12 million miles a second. Okay, so the speed of light. So we now, for example, know that there is a galaxy 13.8 billion light years away. So it's taken 13.8 billion light years for the light, the particle of that light from that galaxy to reach my retina. Where is it now? Where is that galaxy now? That's 13.8 billion light years gone. It's gone where is it? Nobody knows. Nobody knows where that galaxy is. Nobody knows where anything is because it's taken. So I said to him, to Neil, I'll bet you, since everything changes in science, like today it's the Big Bang Theory, and tomorrow it's not the Big Bang Theory. I mean, everything changes. You just got to assume that what's the word? Entropy is the synchronon of the universe. And I'll bet you the speed of light we're going to find the speed of light isn't 10 million miles per second on second or whatever that was. And he said, no, the speed of light is right there. It's everything is measured by this. I said, Neil, I'm willing to bet you that the speed of light this is the function I was performing. I was the barber. I don't know what I'm talking about. I just know that everything changes. My marriage changed. Come on. So after that particular show that evening, a guy comes up to me. He says, "I'm the scientist on the and I'm an authority. And you're right. The speed of light is changing." And recently somebody came up to me and said, they're finding that the speed of light goes slower or faster. They're finding that the speed of light can adjust to what it is. So Tyson is wrong, and I was and that's the function I perform. There was one other thing I did that, in anticipation of going to the South Pole, was I looked up all of the 3 well-known explorers who, for some reason, just to jump ahead, when I came back from the trip after reading about Scott and Amundsen and Shackleton, I thought, why? Yeah, my ear is itching. Does that mean I'm telling a lie? Why, what is the mystery of mankind exploring? What is this? Some hominid climbed down the tree and said, "Oh, it's better here. There's an apple over there. I can eat that instead of a..." And then the beginning of mankind was it climbed down the tree and began to walk and then run, and we became bipedal, and we lived on, and agriculture began, and all the societies and everything began as we know it today. But the first step was stepping down. Why did that thing come off the tree? It was very comfortable up there. It was safe, had food. Why? The need for exploration. It struck me that the South Pole doesn't exist. You understand that? It's a meridian, or whatever those things are called. And down below, there's this theoretical place. And I've been to the Antarctic, and I'm telling you, it's a white desert. It's a white desert. Nothing exists. Well, there are 10 billion penguins. Shit all over the place. And then there's some seals, and then there's some leopard seals, which are grotesque. Well, have you ever seen a picture of a leopard seal? So there's life moderately around in the seas. There's nothing. Why do you want to go to the bloody South Pole? Why? Why does Amundsen get locked up for 2 years in a sailing ship with 28 guys that he handpicked in England? Shackleton was a failure in everything he did. He even came to the South Pole once before. He failed. He's now failing now. He's locked in sea ice for 2 years and can't get out, and now the sea ice is crushing his boat. He's got to take the lifeboats, the 3 lifeboats he's got on the sailing ship, pile the 28 people divided by 3, so that's 3 8, so 24. So you leave 5 guys there. He's got the 8, 9 men in a rowboat. They haul the rowboats to the sea 100 miles, and they row to Elephant Island. When the little ship that I was on came to Elephant Island, one of the guys on the ship said, "I've been here 10 times. We've never had the weather to get in there. Today," they blamed me because it was good weather. And we went into Elephant Island and saw the places where the navigator, who was hand-chosen in England, occasionally get a glimpse on his thing. What's the thing?
Sexton?
Louder.
Sexton.
Sexton.
Yes.
I don't like to say sex in on his sextant, get an occasional glimpse of the sun, and made it was like one of the islands off the shore of California. It's small. It's like Catalina. And they rowed 500 miles there. Sexton found it, and they had the weather to get in there. They turned 2 of the boats over to so that 20 of the 28 men could find lodging underneath the boats, and then Shackleton and 8 guys rowed to South Georgia Island, and because they didn't have the strength to go around it, to the east side, Shackleton and a couple of guys walked over the top of ice, slid down on their backside, and went to the whaling station. My name is Shackleton. We got to go rescue. Who are you? My name is Shackleton. I've been 2 years. And 4 attempts on a whaling ship. They finally picked up the guys on Elephant Island, made it back to England. No loss of life. He became a hero. He had failed one more time, but now Shackleton was a hero because he saved all his men. Whereas Scott, whose name was Robert Scott, was an English explorer who decided to go to the South Pole. I know it was in the midst of the English ultimate English exploration. They had found India, Australia, Canada. The British Empire was at its maximum. And so Scott said, I know how to go to the South Pole. So he took horses, ponies, and he took engines, he took tractors, and a couple of sleds and a couple of dogs. He took the English biscuits and he said, that's what we're going to eat. And he made his way and he got to the South Pole, but the engines on the tractors died, the horses died, he had a couple of dogs, he made it to the South Pole, but he never had the food necessary to live and died on his way back, just short of a supply dump that he had made. And he died on the way back. Amundsen, the Norwegian, went to the North Pole for a year to learn how the Inuit, the Eskimos, lived. They lived in skins, they had boots, and they ate seal with a lot of fat, so a lot of calories. They could work in the cold. And Amundsen made it to this desert place called the South Pole and back because he learned from other people. Why? With those people and all the others, Magellan was killed in the Philippines. He'd become a Christian warrior. He started off as an explorer and became somehow a teacher, and he died in the Philippines. And out of 5 boats and 250 men, 1 boat with 15 men in it made it back to England. But they had circumnavigated the world, and Magellan found a way through the South America, the bottom of South America, the Magellan Straits. Why would these people and all those other people, why would Hillary try to get to the top of it? What is it there in mankind that needs to explore? And the exploration I was looking into was spiritual. How did we arrive at one God when animism, everything had its spirit? Primitive man would draw the animals around him and give that animal a spirit. Everything had a spirit. Animism gave everybody the gift of their own spirit. And how did that evolve into monotheism? And then medicine. How did we go from the bark of a tree, which became aspirin? How did we go from there to agriculture and agriculture causing cities and causing the conglomeration of all humanity into a city, and now the beginning of destruction of humanity in this? I mean, the evolution of exploration is incredible. And I began to write about that. And then I contacted such a pompous name, Neil deGrasse. Neil deGrasse Tyson. And I say, Tyson, you think I'm talking about the boxer. So I contact Neil, I contact the producer, and I say, this is what I'm writing about, but wouldn't it be interesting so we decided to do it on stage. So we went to Seattle. We didn't know what we were going to talk about. That afternoon, before going on stage, Neil and I said, well, we could talk about this. I'll tell this story, I'll ask this question, you answer that. And we flesh out a kind of bullet point, and we do 2 hours like I'm talking to you now, and tumultuous applause, and we're going to do it, I think, more often and maybe film it. What I'm saying is to you is that this instinct that mankind has for exploration of anything, for you to be here, for you to think about science fiction and the possibilities that are happening, the possibilities of science today, right here in this city, the possibilities are so enormous. In the next 2 years, for example, the next 2 years, between AI and all the other advances in medicine and technological things that are happening, our lives are going to change for the good and for the bad. We have to adjust. We have to change with the changes that are happening. But in this city alone, as you all know more than I, changes are happening. People are making billions or going out of business. People are losing their job or gaining the new jobs. It's a time of a kind of ferment that we haven't seen maybe in history or at the most historical times. So I'm here to say we're all a part of it, and I'll answer your questions now, but that's what I'm doing. Okay, now, from your whole body language, from your shirt, turn around and show people your shirt. Look at this shirt. That's okay, so you're anxious to ask me a question, but it's got to be a really good question because it's the first question, okay? Go.
You just mentioned New York City, and as it turns out, one of my favorite Star Trek episodes is The City on the Edge of Forever.
Right.
1930, New York City, written by Harlan Ellison.
Good for you.
And not only what was it like to work with Harlan Ellison,
He was a terrible man.
and
I can say that now because he's dead.
also what was it like to work with Joan Collins, who played the character of Edith Keeler.
Joan Collins, I'm in love. Harlan Ellison was one of the great flawed science fiction writers. And he chose a theme which is so universal. I mean, you talk about science fiction, and why science fiction? Because a lot of science fiction was written by scientists. So they were working in the lab at the same time they were writing. So they knew some of the advances that were coming down the road. But a universal, like, if only I could go back and change what I did. Why did I cross the road at that moment? Why didn't I stay home? I was asked to stay home, and I said, no, I'm crossing the road. I got hit by a bus, and I'm dead, or I'm crippled. And now I'm crippled. I'm in a wheelchair, and my life is, as I wanted it, is over, and now I'm wheeling along, trying my best to be significant, but it's difficult to do. Why? If only I could go back in time and change what happened. I wouldn't cross the road. I would just, if only I had said, oh, there's a bus, I'll stop here and won't go back in time, because now you know better. But here's the thing. If you come to a crossroads and a road leads to the right and a road leads to the left, and you say, I don't know whether I'm going to go to the left or I'm going to go to the right. Just, I feel it. I go to the right, and there's a robber there who hits me on the head and takes all of my valuables. Why did I go to the right? I should have gone to the left. But you only know that because you experienced the robber on the right. So you know something you didn't know and you couldn't have known by having the experience. So you really can't go back in time. All you can do is go back in time in experience. I'm not going right again. I'll never go to the right again. When I come to this crossroads, I'm always going that way. You know why? There's a robber over there. Now you know, but you didn't know until you went to the right. So the fallacy is going back in time to change something that you now know. But you now know. You don't have to go back in time. You won't do that again. That's my thinking about that beautiful show that challenges. I'd like to change history because history didn't treat me properly. Or I went to the right and I found diamonds. I'm not going to change history now. I'm going to make history with my diamonds. It's a really fascinating science fiction theory.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you for being here. My dear, is there anybody? This is the only row, right? Okay, good. The right, turn that mic up, and kiss it. No, I mean really, right into it.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hi, it's such an honor to meet you. It's amazing that you're doing panels like this after all these years.
Well, this is the town, man.
Yeah.
You see, what you don't know is this is the town. Everybody passes by and says, "Yeah, I better go there." This is the place to come. You know where I went for lunch yesterday?
Where?
Where's the smash burger? Everybody goes there. It's terrible. I said, we got to get a quick lunch before I turn up here. He said, well, go to the smash burger place. It's the best place in town. Okay. If only I could change history, I wouldn't have gone there.
You were at a Comic-Con a couple years ago here, and we got a family photo with you, and it was our Christmas card. And
Yeah.
I think it was on our mantle for years after
No
that.
kidding.
So
Who destroyed it? Because obviously somebody did. They took it down and started the fire with it on the fireplace.
I think it went out.
Where are you
when
going? Where are you going? Goodbye. Straighten up. There you go.
It may have been brushed aside when one of us graduated high school or college or something, but
When you learn better.
yeah. I have a somewhat obscure question to ask you.
An obscure question is good because my answer won't matter.
I don't know if you'll remember this at all, but back in the 1970s?
Right into the mic.
Oh, okay.
1970s. You remember the 1970s? 50 years ago.
It was a bit before my time.
Yeah, a little bit. How old are you?
You were...
How old are you?
Negative 20-something? Negative 24?
Obtuse way of telling me your age. Okay, good.
Well, you were on this really corny TV movie.
I was really in a corny TV movie?
Yeah.
Which one?
It was about Stanley Milgram's obedience
Oh,
experiments.
yeah. That wasn't corny, man.
Okay.
What are you talking about? The Milgram experiment is incredible.
It is, yeah. He's
So
an
why
ama-
would you call it corny?
Well, it was in a Milgram biopic a couple of years ago, and they showed the behind the scenes where
Yeah.
somebody was playing.
Yeah, but why would you characterize it as corny? No, I'm serious because Milgram found out that people will go to great lengths to kill other people to obey somebody in a white coat. Are you aware of that experiment?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I mean that's not corny.
Well, the subject's not corny, but the
Well,
film
what's
itself-
a better word than corny?
Cheesy.
You did great.
Okay, I accept that.
Yeah,
Good for you.
you played
What do you
the man.
do? What's your name?
My name is Peter Martin.
Peter Martin. What do you do, Peter?
I'm studying to be an archaeologist.
Really?
Yeah,
You know, there's several types of archaeology. You're aware of that?
of course.
Yeah, and there's a language, archaeology in language. Are you aware of that? So the discovery of words, when words entered into the vocabulary, they could establish a time. Like there was a word, in this case, I'm thinking of for horse.
Sure.
Came in about 10,000 years ago.
Right.
So they ascertained that horses came into civilization about 10,000 years ago, and then when you scrape around in caves and they're finding bones about 10,000 years ago, which validates this 10,000-year-old thing. I mean, archaeology's got to be extraordinary. Do you not think?
Oh, I love it so much. It's so funny to hear you talk about this. You remind me so much of my own grandfather. He sounds exactly like you. Just the way, yeah.
Go away. Would you?
So I just wanted to ask if...
What's your corny question?
Sorry. I wanted to ask if you ever actually met Stanley Milgram when you were working on that film.
No, I never did. You know the Milgram experiment, just briefly. There were two rooms, and there was a glass you could see through to the other room. In the first room was a panel of technological thing. And the guy sat at the panel, and in the other room was the human being who was being experimented on. The experiment was, can pain make you learn faster? Remember these numbers: 5, 7, 6, 5, 3, 4, 5. 2. Repeat them back to me. You can. Bang. Now 7, 5, 3, 4. You can. Bang. Okay. Punishment. The experiment was: will punishment make you learn faster? And people came in, sat down in the chair, and the punishment was an electric shock. So the person sitting at the panel here, looking at the person who was sitting in the chair there, could raise the amount of electrical shock from 1 to 20. 20 was death. You were electrocuted. 10 was like, ah! Okay? Now, they put an actor, in effect, in the chair for pain. They had, the guy was a set-up teacher of some kind on the panel. And I'm sorry, the people sitting at the chair were the experiment. So, Nick, you sit down here, and Paul over here, dressed in white, with a board, and says, "All right, board, ask the question 1 + 1, turn it to 5. And what's 1 + 1? 2. No, it's 3. Turn it up to 5. Turn it up to 10. And the guy in the white suit with an authority figure is telling that guy, who is the experiment, how far will he turn that electrical shock to shock that guy in the other room, who's an actor, who when he turns the thing goes, "Oh!" But there's no shock. How far? And 20 is death. And a number of people were given orders. No, turn it higher, turn it higher, turn it higher, turn it to 20. And he, in effect, killed that person. And they did it country by country. And they found that America was all right, they had people killing people. But Germany, they killed a lot of people. So that was the Milgram experiment. How far would you go if an authority figure told you, torture that person to killing that person? That was the effect of the Milgram experiment, which I played Milgram, and it was very successful, as corny as it was.
Thank you so much. But you never met him.
Never met.
But he did an
Is
amazing
that your
job.
question?
Yes, it was.
Well, what, if I said I did meet him, what would you say? What would you have asked me then?
Well, I'd love.
I did meet him, actually. He had a little gray beard, and he had a hearing aid.
Just, well, if you met him outside of the film, I'd love to hear what.
Well, we had a pair of tweezers, and he had my finger there, and he was trying to. No, I didn't meet him.
Oh, okay.
But your interest in archaeology reflects mine as well. It's like the history. What happened? What happened?
That's exactly right. Yeah.
And we're finding through archaeology such mystical, crazy, historical, fascinating things that have happened in the past. We now know, I'm thinking of Peru, I think it is, have rocks that have man's work fastened to it, like chipped away. Rocks the size we can't lift with our machinery now, and they somehow move, you know what I'm talking about, move the rocks. There are temples that predate everything, that are made without stuff that sticks the rocks together. Mortar, thank you. Without mortar. So they're so level that they stand on their own for tens of thousands of years. There are temples, what's the Mardi Gras, the
Machu Picchu.
No, not Machu Picchu, the one in Turkey.
Göbekli Tepe.
Dalbeki. They're made with technology that doesn't seem to have existed. Archaeology is taking us back in time to the beauty of what primitive man, we call it primitive, man fought, and beyond, into the ice ages, beyond the ice age. We're finding out about magical things, about the denizens, and about the guys in Germany. Neanderthals and denizens and I mean the magic of archaeology telling us the story of mankind is like science fiction. Listen, that's why you're here. It's science. Archaeology is science fiction. Thank you.
Thank you so much. You're so inspiring. Thank you.
Hello.
I was waiting.
Right, you got to get right into that mic.
I was been waiting to ask this since last GalaxyCon, but
It's a long time to hold on to a question. Do you remember your name?
sometimes, but I think it's Sebastian.
Good. What's your question, Sebastian? You've been holding on to so long that it's made you crazy.
Well, it has to do with film production. Now,
Film production.
Yes. In your day.
Right into the mic.
In your day, there was.
In my day, I know I've been studying about quantum and entanglement. You know about entanglement?
A few things.
Do you know about superposition?
Yeah.
Well, in my day, okay.
So there was a lot of
Right into the mic.
there was a lot of emphasis to having the actors kind of lead the scene, but with more of a stage play style direction, where you can allow the scenes to breathe and allow the actors to kind of
How interesting. Yeah.
And I was just wondering if with modern setups, they seem to be more inclined for the edit, the special effects, and the things that will make the trailer look really good. But there's something that's usually kind of missing.
Well, it's an interesting theme that you brought up. So there are movies, all of them being science fiction films, but other films as well, Tornado, and where the special effects are so supreme, they take over the film. They're like, God, that's a tornado. Or that animal just ate that person, the tiger on the thing of pie, whatever. The Life of Pi. That are so real. That sounded like surreal, didn't it? So real that you believe it's there. If it wasn't surreal, if it wasn't so real, you would lose the intensity of the film. But you are seeing a tiger about to eat a human being all the time. The human being is frightened by the tiger, but the tiger is frightened by the human. It's the technological aspect of films today have taken over everything because of the excellence of the technology. In my day of Star Trek, it was the beam in process where you stood in a circle of light and you tangled in. You know what that little beam in effect was? Yeah. A glass of water and an Alka-Seltzer pit. They filmed the Alka-Seltzer bubbling, and then they put it on the film. And that's how technologically adept we were in my day. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
I